welcome to another episode of the Silicon Dreams on Radio Zindagi 1550 AM. This is your show host, RJ Sonia, the founder and CEO of Orbis 86, where we are creating accessible onboarding opportunities for those who want to learn about Web3 and AI. And joining me in the studio today, we have the Chief Business Officer from BitMart Exchange, Kaimin Hu. And I am going to go to Kaimin to introduce himself so he can talk to us about his journey into Web3 and what is he doing at BitMart today. So Kaimin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And hello, everybody. Very glad and happy being here. This is Kaimin, serving as Chief Business Officer at BitMart, mainly in charge of incubation, investment, and of course, listings. So my journey with BitMart was, at the very beginning when BitMart established at the end of 2017. So back that time, there's, a lot of new and uprising crypto exchange coming up. And with, 5 years of, going through all the, thunderstorm and the rains, we somehow made our journey till today. And somehow we had a little bit of reputation in the industry. And we are still very humbly and very low-key to growing the business. Embracing the Web3, the AI, and also embracing all the regulatories to doing our best to bring the best service and the best product to our users.
Thank you, Kaimin. Kaimin, what about your personal journey? When did you get started in this wild west world of Web3?
Yeah, so this is actually a very interesting thing. My background, I went to Carnegie Mellon in 2006. And my study was, computer engineering. So back that time, I have already get in touch all those kinds of, technical stuff. And later on, 2010-ish, I started, to look into the white paper of Bitcoin, the P2P system. That I feel it's very it's very interesting, and it's just basically describing the future. But back that time, I wasn't able or didn't have the access to do the mining back at that time. If I were, I would definitely put all my.
You would have owned BitMart probably if you did that then.
Yeah, hopefully Sheldon didn't kill me on that. Yeah, so on 2014, I started to dive into fintech industry back that time.
Okay.
But that fintech was also the combination of AI and the fintech. Because back in 2014-15, that was a very good era for
AI revolution, predictive modeling.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I did. That we built the first modeling in Southeast Asia for credit scoring, underwriting, and also payment, payment rail as well.
The credit scoring in US has been around for a while, but in Southeast Asia, it's new and coming, and they're still honing their systems. So you were part of that transformation for Southeast Asia.
Yes, exactly. Because people do see that there's a huge need in Southeast Asia have the the P2P lending, also basically lending and borrowing. It's a huge need in Southeast Asia. So myself, and also the other founding team, we dive into there, and because I think fintech is a way that to help the liquidity and also penetration from human being to human being.
Yes.
That not only just via those already known centralized institutions, but also open for any individuals have the opportunity to participate any economics or financial activities. So I feel like this is the future for the world, and that's why on 2017, 2018, I started joining BitMart, because I feel like, okay, there we go. After fintech, then exchange, also crypto exchange, it's another journey for also another level of fintech going through another route. So basically, that's how we talk about the Web3 tokenomics, and also AI as add on to the Web3, which makes me journey till today.
So folks, Bill Gates had famously said that banking is important, but banks are not. And cryptocurrency, decentralized exchanges, centralized exchanges, this entire era of crypto, it really started with the need for creating a decentralized network where you did not have to rely on intermediaries. And we have technology in our hands now where each one of us can be our own banks. The systems are still updating. A few years ago, refunds, etc., were not possible. Now, even those facets of commerce, of all the retail spending that we see, those are being worked upon, and the growth will continue. In a way, the crypto industry is still a very young industry. I know a lot of the times Web3 and cryptocurrency and AI gets compared. I feel like they aren't necessarily two sides of the coin, because they are both tech stacks. So whenever people look at blockchain, many a times they're just thinking about token listing, and they're just thinking about cryptocurrencies or the metaverse. But the area of Web3 goes so much beyond that. It is a tech stack building those decentralized applications. And then AI is also another tech stack. So they complement each other. They are not necessarily going head to head against each other.
Totally.
That is something that, it's good for all of us to remember. So going on with, what Bill Gates had said, that, okay, banks are not necessary, but banking is necessary.
Yeah.
Right. So we have centralized exchanges that make the journey easier for people to connect their banks to a system that they have more control over. Now, why don't we talk a little bit about BitMart? Like, when did BitMart start? What is the total volume that BitMart handles on a day-to-day basis today? And what's the spread of BitMart? Which countries BitMart is in?
Sure, I'm more than happy, to share that information to the public. That we basically established at the end of the year 2017, and on 2018 we officially started launching the product, because we prepared a very long period to do all the testing, to do all the user do a lot of user journeys to make sure that it fulfills the user requirements and also the user's needs. So we started from small, that because back in 2017 there only several different assets, like some those major assets from the last bull run, actually two bull run before, starting listing all the centralized exchanges. And that central exchange basically gives a user capability, are able to start converting their fiat into cryptocurrency by certain way. And majority speaking, we are working with multiple third-party vendors like MoonPay, Banksa, Alchemy Pay, and vice versa. Those third-party fiat on-ramp, off-ramp facilities that to open the door, or say to lower the barrier for user to entry. So
Kaimin, before we move ahead, maybe it is worth talking about what a fiat currency is versus cryptocurrency, because a lot of the times we are so used to hearing the word fiat currency, but it would be lost on the common man. So
Sure.
What are fiat currencies? And when we talk about on-ramp, off-ramp, and centralized exchanges being used for that, what do those terms mean to the layman?
Sure. So here's how it works, right? Fiat usually just refers to the currency that each centralized government issued for their internal country, for the liquidity and the circulation supply for human beings, day-to-day life and daily purchases.
So our dollars, pounds,
Yeah.
Indian rupees, yen,
Yeah.
yuan, all of these are examples of fiat currencies.
Yes, these are a great example for fiat currencies.
And the most important thing is that they have been issued by a sovereign body, which in most of the cases is a centralized bank. Like here we have the Federal Reserve, in India we have the Reserve Bank of India, and so on.
Yes, exactly. So basically, every country have an institution to issue the fiat currency that for to basically to facilitate economics internally for each country.
That's right. And then how is that different from cryptocurrencies?
Cryptocurrency, I would say it's more like a decentralized way, that not issued by a centralized facilitation, but it's basically issued by the governments, or say by the community of such a crypto. For example, Bitcoin, right? The issuance, or not even say issuance, but the Bitcoin was basically coming out from the rewards to the miners, and the miners distribute all those tokens to the public.
That is right. So, Bitcoin, as we know, it's proof of work. So,
Yes.
miners were working to support the system.
Mhm.
How does Bitcoin work? Bitcoin is a ledger, and in its simplest form, instead of having a government body regulate it, run the services, cryptocurrencies, as we all know, they are digital currencies. But in order to issue the digital currency, to help support the transactions, you still need a system to support it. Now, that system could have been a centralized server, it could have been a few servers on Amazon server, but that would have made it centralized, not decentralized. By decentralized, what you mean is you have a peer to peer community of folks who are supporting transactions for this network, we could call it, for the blockchain for Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And they are the ones providing resources to support it. And because they are providing the resources, they get paid for it in the blockchain's native currency, which is Bitcoin.
Yep.
And the people providing that support, they are known as miners.
Yep.
The coolest thing about this is that nobody can hold you hostage. So
Yeah.
today, even if you have a website running on AWS, for example, they could cancel your service at any time. Not that they do it, they don't want to ruin their business,
Mhm.
but you are at the whim, at the mercy. You have your data being shared with another company
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Whereas on blockchain, it's all fully, first of all, blockchain, the transactions are transparent, so everybody sees it. But
Yes.
Bitcoin will continue to exist as long as there is at least one person supporting it. So that is the coolest thing, that you cannot be held hostage by any single person or even a group of people,
Yes.
because as long as there are people willing to support it, the system will continue to thrive and exist. And that is
Exactly.
what decentralized really means, that the power is not in the hand of one person,
Yes.
but rather it is in the hands of the community. So, Kaimin,
Yeah.
with just some of those basics being covered, let's get into BitMart. Like, what is the role of these centralized exchanges? And when we say, okay, you want to convert your fiat into cryptocurrency, I think given the fact that we spoke about mining, people probably understand that one of the ways to get the cryptocurrency is if you support a network and you act as a miner.
Mhm.
But not everybody is able to do that.
Mhm.
So, is this where centralized exchanges play a part and allow people to exchange their fiat currencies into crypto and vice versa?
Yes, change from fiat currency to cryptocurrency is one of the function that centralized exchange provides. The others are mainly say because right now till today there are not only just 100 or even 200 cryptocurrency existing in the industry. It's more than 3,000 there already.
More than 5,000 the
Yeah.
last time I checked too. Yes,
Yeah.
thousands of them.
Yeah, there are thousands of them, and each different assets need a different channel to being able to provide liquidity to based on the user needs. So that's there comes out centralized exchange playing a role that to make the financial connectivity and transaction happening between people to people and people to institution, or even institution to institution.
So here's the thing, right? You spoke about liquidity.
Yeah.
A lot of the people, when they are looking at cryptocurrencies, they are looking at it as high risk assets, right? What does it mean in the crypto world to really have liquidity? Because most of the times, I know a lot of people will compare it to stocks. Many a times it will follow the same movement at the stock market.
Yeah.
However, this concept of liquidity pools with two token pairs and stuff is something that is sort of perhaps a little unique to our cryptocurrency regime, right?
Yeah.
So why is it important to have liquidity in pools? What does it mean?
Mhm.
Can you touch a little bit on that?
Sure, of course. So in the traditional exchange like Nasdaq or
NYSE.
NYSE, yeah, those crypto exchange, those traditional exchanges, they running from I think from 9 to 5 or even 10 to 5. Really depends on a different day, and so they have time to open and also close the market, and so that's why their liquidity is somehow limited. And these liquidity either provided by their original or say organic exchange volume, or even could be by the traditional market maker, right? So we might remember seeing, when people taking photo of, how NASDAQ internally, NYSE internally. So basically they are yelling to each other saying, hey, I have this order, somebody want to take it, stuff like that.
They're working on their order books.
Yeah, that's something, the traditional, the most, old-fashioned way, or the traditional way how all the bricks works. But in the centralized crypto exchange way, that we basically convert that into everything as automatic. Besides that, the beauty about, crypto exchange is 24/7. It never stops. So imagine that, if the human being are going, offline, or say going sleep, right? Then who's gonna take care of the liquidity? Because, the liquidity is always still there, and the people, they're buyer, they're maker, they're takers. So it has to be some sort of, like, say, either liquidity pool or automated liquidity bot, or even something we call, crypto market makers to jump in, but of course, in an automatic way, to jump in with a strategy to make the arbitrage and to ensure the liquidity, the depth, and also the spread.
The depth and spread. So I know these are a lot of financial terms. Those who are financial gurus will identify all of these terms from even our traditional markets, right?
Yeah.
Like looking at arbitrage opportunities. So if a stock is listed on multiple markets, which doesn't happen now, but if you have a stock that was listed on different exchanges, then sometimes the price, it takes a moment to equalize on the two exchanges. Like if you had a stock that's on NYSE and on NASDAQ, and there was a difference of even $1, then it presents a quick arbitrage opportunity where you can buy on the exchange where it is at a lower price, and then sell it on an exchange that's at a higher price.
Exactly.
And then we talk about the spread. So in an order book, if anybody has used the advanced stock market advanced layouts with any of the various stock market tools we have, even including tools like Webull, for example, right? Where Webull is another application like Robinhood,
right,
that's in the palm of your hands, but they also provide you like with advanced views. You will see that at any given point in time, you have multiple sell orders at multiple pricing, and also multiple buy orders at multiple pricing. So this is the spread that we are really talking about, where you have orders being executed at different price points throughout the day. So we will dive into some of these terms. Before we move any further, though, what I wanted to ask you was centralized exchange and decentralized exchange, right? We quite often hear these two terms when we're talking about Web3. And for a lot of our audience members who are listening in, they might have not heard either of them. They might have just heard about exchanges. But what are these two different flavors? Like, what's a centralized exchange? Maybe some pros and cons of centralized exchanges versus what's a decentralized exchange and the pros and cons of decentralized exchange. Can you shed some light on it?
Sure, of course. So there's, for both, centralized exchange and the decentralized exchange, something we call, a CEX and a DEX, right? Both of them have, pros and cons. So first of all, centralized exchange, that they have customer service, they have, account management, they have customer success, customer support, and also, like myself, business development and operation. So it basically runs as a company, and also provides, the different type of assets to be listed on, centralized exchange, and also having, people basically 24/7, supporting all the customer needs based on different requirements. So, and of course, because we have BD, so the assets listing on centralized exchange, I would say, have more variety choice versus, on the DEX. But on the that's, the pro of, central exchange. I guess the only con, which is, let's say it's centralized.
Yeah. It is centralized, so you're not necessarily jumping on the decentralized bandwagon. It provides, I feel, also an easier way for people to get into crypto, because you don't have to understand how to create your own wallet. You don't have to remember the seed phrase. and also you are able to easily convert your fiat currencies into cryptocurrencies, which at the moment on decentralized exchanges, it's normally not supported, or even if it is, it's only through third-party integrations.
Yeah. So decentralized exchange that, basically it provides you a facility that you can keep, anonymous, and, you're able to do, exchange based on, the size of the liquidity pool that existing on a decentralized exchange. So basically it's more, I would say for crypto native, or say, or if you're already in crypto many like years, and you already have a very good sense of all kinds of different wallets, or say all kinds of different chains, that okay, that is your playground, and that's the pro of DEX.
And if you already have your liquidity in cryptocurrency and you just want to swap from one cryptocurrency to another, then you could possibly use your decentralized exchanges for the swapping.
Yes, but but there is no the con of decentralized exchange is it's very hard to ensure the size of the pool, and when you do swapping, there's something we call slippage.
Yes.
Right.
Can you explain that term slippage?
Yeah. So basically, the equation coming from K constant equals X times Y. X is one side of the trading pair. Y is the other side of the trading pair. So imagine that in a pool, you're supposed to have balanced of X and Y, which is two different tokens, right? If one of those are facing 90% down, the other side will have facing another kind of disaster. Say either shortage, or even huge slippage, or even the price sudden drop. So that's the potential con of DEX, which is if everything goes well, if everything ideally goes well, then okay, all the swap works, all the both sides of the X and the Y, everything goes well. But if anything suddenly happens, okay, then this will become some sort of disaster. So there's always risk by using no matter centralized exchange or decentralized exchange.
There are certain, depending on, how well educated you are, how you are planning to use these things. Also, sometimes centralized exchanges, when they're launching new tokens and stuff, they will conduct a token drop for their users, or they might also have better yields. So as we know, Coinbase today provides a yield of 4% on USDC. You also have other DEXs, etc., that provide yields, but they are typically a little lesser. Sometimes centralized exchanges, they have, or they could also be higher. Like on Hedera, we have some USDC pools which are even at, there were some pools that were even at 80%, and it was like, oh, somebody giving 80% for a good stable coin like USDC. And I know stable coins is also like a new term, but we won't get into all of those details today, because I want to learn a little more about centralized exchanges, and then listing on centralized exchanges. So while I hope that our audiences listening to the Silicon Dreams and Radio Zindagi 1550 AM have gotten a hold on some of these basic terms that we spoke about, right? Like we spoke about centralized exchange, decentralized exchange, cryptocurrency versus fiat currency. And then we also spoke about the spread of a pool, a depth of a pool. By the way, a liquidity pool is just how much money is actually captured there. Now, with that being said, you just now mentioned, right? Like there are over a few thousand cryptocurrencies that are already there in the market. So, on a decentralized exchange, anybody can go and create a pool, right? But on a centralized exchange, if someone wants to list their token on a centralized exchange, there is a certain process involved with that. Would you like to share with us what is the process of listing a token on BitMart, right? And maybe you could give us give our audience more details about, if anyone's interested, how do they go about it, and so on.
Sure. I guess before talking about specifically the listing, I would say generally speaking, BitMart is a full degree crypto exchange that provides all kinds of spot trading, future trading, NFT trading, and also yield and earn on the market.
So what's the difference between spot and futures, right? Like perpetual. So what is the difference between spot and future trading?
Yeah, so basically spot trading is that you based on the current market, the current exactly time spent market, and do the trading based on the the volume, the market order, or even limited order that do right now spot. For the future trading, basically that you're betting on either the price will up or say the price will drop. It's the same terminology as the traditional future trading or the option trading. It's exactly
in the stock market.
in the
So
stock market.
we
Yeah,
are talking
exactly.
about puts and calls, right? We're
Yeah, puts
talking
and calls.
about those kind of trade options that are available to people. Now,
Mhm.
Coinbase doesn't have their future trading open to US audience. What
Yeah.
about BitMart?
We don't open that to US either. So we
Okay.
are very fully US
Compliant.
compliant in the US because we have certain people in the US and we have a US registered user. So we fully follow the US regulation and try to good kit.
How many users do you have in the United States?
We generally speaking, we have more than around 15 million total registered user. The demographics look like around 20-30% are US based user, and now we are shifting a little bit more energy to the south to the Latin region, and we already have huge audience, especially India user in Southeast Asia. That because as Sonia just mentioned that centralized exchange do airdrops, and our Indian users are very, very actively, participating in those marketing campaign airdrops. Which, yeah.
So BitMart has a couple of million users in India as well, and they also have on-ramp, off-ramp facilities for the Indian audiences. So they are able to use BitMart as a stepping stone to get into the world of crypto. And then as Kaimin just mentioned, right, like there are a lot of campaigns,
Yep.
and you have a lot of Indians actively hunting for
Yep.
those campaigns.
Yep.
All right, so coming back to
To
BitMart,
listings, yeah,
to
yeah.
listings, right? So BitMart is a full service trading platform. You have all of these different options for people who are trading to look at. And then what about token listing?
Yes, of course. So always the first step, when we look into any cases for listing, the first thing we want to make sure it's compliant enough, right? First of all, we want to make sure the name of the token, the purpose of the token, the country of issuance of the token are fully compliant with the FINRA's regulation. Say, for example, the U.S. sanctioned country, we won't take their user and we won't do business with them. And for example, there should not be any illegal or any weird words happening in the project name or even a ticker, because sometimes people are trying to make a shiny name to make them stand out, but we don't want we are very we are very aware of being respect and being very restrict on those naming, and even we're looking to the white paper, we look into their website to make sure all their terminology are compliant enough.
So there is a dark side to crypto, right? Where unfortunately in the past we have had crypto is still a very largely unregulated industry, and I don't as a radio station we are fairly neutral, but I do believe that Gary Gensler, who is the head of SEC at the moment, is not doing a good job regulating crypto. He's trying to kill crypto, which is not the same as regulating. And you have other countries that are taking lead. A lot of folks in the Bay Area have heard about Andreessen Horowitz because they are one of the largest investment firms in the globe, not just in US, but across the globe. Exactly. And they started their crypto entity, which is called Andreessen Horowitz A16Z Crypto School. And they moved their headquarters to London. So instead of having people from US move offshore, the US has to regulate it enough to make it safer for people. And it's literally at one point, especially I have come here from India, right? A lot of us are migrants to US, and we used to talk about a brain dump from countries like India coming to US, where you have the best talent being poached to US because of the opportunities here. So it is really sad that because of the current regulatory environment, you actually have people from US going abroad, and these are US citizens who are going to countries in Europe, going to UK, setting up shops even offshore. Offshore entities is something that even traditional businesses do, so I might not necessarily consider that, but you have citizens even moving to like Dubai and just considering moving there forever because of the regulatory scenario here. Now, without getting too much into that. I just hope that, the regulatory scenario becomes better. We have someone who is critical, but actually is interested in regulating versus just trying to kill the industry. But what has happened in the past, unfortunately, because of the lack of regulations, you have, and also the potential of 100xing your investment. If you think about the people, guys, who mined Bitcoin when it started, Bitcoin's white paper came out in 2008. 2009 is when Bitcoin mining started.
Right.
Even until 2010, 2011, perhaps 12, people could mine Bitcoin on their laptops. You didn't need fancy Bitcoin mining rigs to mine Bitcoin, right? It was a very small audience. So since then it has grown, and at that time the first Bitcoin transaction, real world exchange transaction, proving that a digital token like Bitcoin can be used as a currency, that's why we hear the word cryptocurrency, was when a person in New York bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hope the person who got the 10,000 Bitcoin did not sell it off immediately, because that pizza shop owner with the 10,000
that's
Bitcoin,
how they call the pizza day.
That's why, in Bitcoin we celebrate the pizza day. But that was, a lot of people think like, oh my god, 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. But that step was actually crucial, because it proved to the world that these currencies can be used as a form of exchange.
Yeah, for real world assets, which is also which is also a hot topic these days.
Exactly. And if you think about it, even US dollars, right, or any currency, it has a certain value because we value it at a certain way. So this is literally, guys, a peer-to-peer allocation of value to any token. It is like, in the older days, each of the kingdoms would have some of their coins and stuff that were issued. The kings necessarily wouldn't be the ones setting the value. I mean, yes, a little bit, but people would determine that, hey, if I do X work for you, I want 10 coins in return. And if you do this for me, I'll give you 5 coins in return, right? So people used to set a value to it, and that is exactly what we're doing here. The community sets a value to a token, and as long as the community members decide that this token has an inherent value and we can use it, they can use it to exchange, use those cryptocurrencies to go and get real world assets. Now, because of the lack of regulations, and also Bitcoin inherently, blockchain allows everybody to be anonymous because all the transactions are there on chain. So that transparency is awarded. And at the same time, it allows anonymous entities to come in, because that also removes biases from the system.
Exactly.
Right. However, there are always bad actors. Whenever you have any technology coming in, it is a tool.
It's a tool,
nuclear fission and nuclear fusion were discovered, they were just tech stacks, but people were working on them to really create clean energy. However, the first widely known use of it would have been the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly these days, the movie Oppenheimer,
right? It's exactly about that.
That's his suffer,
Yes, right. And it's the same with a knife. A knife is a tool. In the hands of a chef, you'll get a gourmet meal. In the hands of a murderer, you better be scared for your life. So all of these technologies, unfortunately, we have bad actors. So in the past, because of the lack of regulations, which is even there now, unfortunately, what has happened is you had a lot of bad actors come in, try to launch a token, tell people we are going to do great things, take money from people, and then disappear. So now centralized exchanges, when they look at listings, they do an in-depth analysis, right? So when Kaimin was talking about looking at the white paper, looking at the website, looking at the team, a lot of these analysis is done because you don't want people to not progress. So what about just individuals who have the right intentions at heart, but they might not be a big company, right? Like if Google comes and says that we want to launch a token, everyone will do that for them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But if it is an individual founder, like me, right? And I come to people and say, hi, I want to launch a token. Then we don't want to create a barrier of entry for them. But at the same time, how do you evaluate that this person has genuine interests in mind? So crypto exchanges, when they evaluate projects, that's one of the things that they do.
Yes, exactly.
So the first step is
Yep.
going to be that valuation, right?
Yes, first is going to be the say due diligence on the project itself, the project team, and also based on their legal opinion and vice versa, various of documentations. We do a full analysis into that. We have a research team um, focus on this every day. And second is the security, the technical security, because previously we do hear a lot of mainnets or say decentralized applications gets hacked by hackers and causing some loss. So that is always the second step, that we dive into their smart contract code, which is their decentralized application code, to make sure their audit, their security audit, their penetration test are fully performed before they are open to our user, because we don't want to our user encounter any some sort of I mean, we are trying our best to like void the risk to our users. So we are very carefully take the technical security as the second screening.
So, folks, recently there was a rug pull that happened. It was for a coin called Poly,
Yeah.
where they had a smart contract deployed, and that smart contract had a function in it which allowed anyone who had put in money in that pool or anyone interacting with that contract to send the money that was sent to that contract from any address to any address. And in a matter of a few hours, $2.2 million were just rugged from the smart contract, right?
Yep.
And it was just sent out to malicious parties or whatnot. And I don't know if the founders did that intentionally or not, because it's really hard to talk about these things. But at the very least, the one thing that they did not do right was just copying a contract and deploying it without necessarily performing that kind of a security audit that we're talking about.
Right.
These days, you have companies that provide a lot of, like you have Sotic and you have Autic. You have companies
Right.
providing in-depth analysis
Exactly.
of your smart contracts. But remember, smart contracts, once they are deployed, they are generally immutable. We also have the concept of upgradable smart contracts, where some things can be upgraded, but in general they are immutable. So if you f up this one, right, there is no coming back, and you also end up losing trust within the community.
Yes.
If people know who you are and you rug them of millions of dollars, they are not going to look at you favorably.
Right.
So the first step is obviously evaluating the project team, making sure they have all their ducks lined in a row. The second thing is the technical audit.
Mhm.
What's the third step?
The third step is that we will dive into the community, which usually goes say either Twitter, Discord, Telegram, and vice versa, several different social medias, because we want to make sure this project has reached already gathered enough audiences that are willing to engage, become one of the community, so that after they successfully launching on BitMart, we will do more promotions regarding this token launching, so that their community and our community will mutually join such a promotion, so that to create more say buzzwords, or even creates more say liquidity.
And it's also a marketing thing, right? More people get to know about it. The more people will participate in it.
Yes.
The more traction the coin, the token gets.
Yeah. So you see, like the difference, between Web2 community and a Web3 community is centralized, decentralized, right? So say, for example, like Google, Facebook, their user are centralized inside the platform, and which there is their community or inside platform, but that not intentionally to leave or to go to other platform in a quick manner, in a very quick manner. But in the Web3, it's more about it's all decentralized community, that everybody can have multiple different identities, which is something we call decentralized ID, DID into different decentralized communities that are able to express their interest and express themselves. So basically, I would say this Web3 market brings more freedom to the people which could have more choice on what they want to believe in.
The Web3 also allows you to take control of your own identity, your own data, and if you move from one platform to another
Yep.
in a true decentralized fashion, if the platforms are fully decentralized,
Yes.
you are able to take your identity, your data from one platform to another.
Yep.
It really belongs to you. It unlike Twitter or YouTube, where once you create the content, put it up there, unless you have a backup, if they pull down your account, the data is lost.
Yeah, they use the personal data for machine learning, for data modeling training.
And you don't get paid for it.
No,
at
you're
all.
not. Yeah, they get paid. We're
For
not.
sure.
Yeah, and basically these data modeling are used for advertisement, auction, and also recommendation engine that keeps pushing your favorite to you. That basically creates a small circle, put you inside the small bubble, or say put you into the comfort zone forever. The kind of practice. But in the Web3, it's all the data are protected or also encrypted by yourself, or no, by the system itself, and you have your own choice. Which channel you would love to join.
So now we looked at the 4 steps, I think, right? The first thing was, or 3 steps, I guess. The first thing we spoke about was essentially evaluating the project team. The second step was performing a security audit on their smart contract. The third step is diving deeper into their community to see if there is a good community that exists. What's the next step?
Oh, the next step is basically our operation team. We are coming out and very detailed to do the promotion planning with the project team to make their best effort.
So this is where you partner with them. Now
Yeah.
I mean, by step 3, you know that you want to work with the project. So step 4 really is forging that partnership and helping,
Yes.
working hand in hand.
Yes, because I always tell the project team that listing means nothing. Listing is basically a first step. What really important is post listing, right? The reason why we do partnership with the project is we believe in the value of the project brings to the Web3 industry, also bring to the community is positive. So we want to continuously grow that positive synergy and grow that positive momentum, so that we keep onboarding better and better, more legit assets available on BitMart, so that I have everybody, or say no matter Web2 or Web3 users are able to own their digital assets. Because back in the Web2, also back a couple of years ago, we talk about problems to help the unbanked banked, right? And crypto exchange, or say crypto wallet, is I would say a very good alternative way to help the unbanked people get banked.
That's right.
Yeah. So
there are
the
more
concept
than
is simple.
1.8 billion people on Earth that are unbanked today, because a lot of the banks don't think of them as good customers. This could be because they are low income, or they could be in countries where banking itself has not yet developed. For a lot of our listeners, this might be something hard to imagine, that there are still countries across the globe where banking systems are not developed, because India is actually the leader in digital transactions around the globe today.
Yes.
Right? And when I came to US, in fact, from India, and this was in 2012, I felt like the US systems were actually much backward than the Indian systems, right? They still had to catch up.
Yeah.
Like Fed now has recently been rolled out, so now you can have 24/7 payments. But 24/7 payments in India, like even NEFT, which was still during work hour settlements, but all of those payment systems in India, and then we had IMPS that came in, and now with UPI, 24/7 payments in India has been around for such a long time. Or even clearing a check. Even today, it takes like a whole week for checks to be really cleared.
Right.
You could get access to the money earlier. However, the check could bounce, and the bank will then deduct it, and it could take like even a week or 2 weeks for that to occur. And in India, back in 2006-7, all of this was still happening in real time. Within 2 hours, your checks would be cleared. But folks who are from India, it might be a little hard for even them, because between India and being here now in the United States, we are exposed to pretty good banking systems. But there are a lot of countries, like even in Africa, for example, or I would like to take an example of Ukraine recently.
Yep.
Now, Ukraine had very good banking systems. However, because of the war,
Yeah.
all of the banks were shut down, and people had to leave their houses with their bare minimum. And the funniest thing is that I mean, there's no fun in war at all, right? But
No.
the thing is that a lot of these people who had their money with the banks, because the banks shut down,
Ridiculous.
they don't have access to it. However, those who had their money in crypto,
Yeah.
when they moved to other countries, they were able to exchange those crypto assets for fiat currencies and able to restart in a new country.
Exactly.
That is like such a huge example of really understanding
Exactly.
what does
Exactly.
it mean to truly own your own currency, right? Truly own your own money. And in Ukraine, we have really seen that play out. Now, there are, besides now Ukraine, in Africa, you have a lot of countries where people are just so poor that you don't have banking systems really supporting them because they don't even have that volume of transaction that you're looking at. Now, anytime a person is not banked, they lose access to a lot of opportunities because nobody wants to hire someone they cannot pay. And if they want to pay them, they don't want to deal with cash. They don't want to deal with a separate accounting. You know, they just want the systems to be automated. And unless a person is banked, this doesn't happen to them, and it is a vicious cycle. Because they cannot earn more, they are stuck doing smaller jobs, menial jobs that pay menial wages, and it's very hard to break that cycle. So so then what happens? Like, you know, the first step, as we said, is the actual listing. So you do a partnership, and then when it comes to listing, what is the process there?
Yeah. So when it comes to listing, then we basically will need to ensure all the order books and all the system configurations are fully configured before the trading opening. Of course, the function of deposit, withdraw, and function of trading, and also function of like earn, kind of staking program. Everything ought to be settled. Then we make sure their market maker, also any other market maker are able to provide liquidity to ensure the matching rate, right? To make sure it's seamless matching through the matching engine. Then if everything goes well, then we set a date and time. We let the trading opening, and we will do a lot of announcements, marketing promotion, and even AMA like we're doing right now with the project team to make sure that voice reaches out to both communities.
Got it. And post listing, right, what is some of the feedback advice you would give to founders who launch their new tokens? Because as you said, listing is the first part, but that is really the start of the journey.
Yes. So post listing, we'll do a series of events altogether. For example, like with there are several projects we have been working with. They continuously building their projects, and we continuously post their project update to both community to keep people up to date on the progress of the project roadmap.
And that is important, like, your community understands that the project is constantly working. What are they working on? What is their vision? Because if people don't understand that, then they have another few thousand options to go and look at. And that is where, there could be a dump. People might want to just get out of your token, collect back their investment, and that will lead to a reduction in the token pricing. So this was a great conversation, Kaimin. Unfortunately, we are at the top of the hour. We could have we could have kept going for another hour. I would love to have you back maybe, in another couple of months so we can continue this conversation. And also we might see things change. A lot changes in a quarter in crypto, right? So, we could talk about the more current marketing scenarios there.
Yeah, totally.
Before we wrap up the show, is there a message you want to part our users, our listeners on the Silicon Dreams with?
Yeah, I would say we are very open to collaborate with all the Web3 builders. We love to work with them. We all even have our demo day and incubation program. So that if you have a great idea, or if you're working on some Web3 or even AI project, we can definitely discuss. You can easily find me on either LinkedIn or on the BitMart official website.
So, guys, you can look for Kaimin Hu on LinkedIn or the BitMart official website. If you search for the Chief Business Officer, Kaimin's profile will show up, right? That is Kaimin. And he also has a bored ape. For those who don't know what a bored ape is, it's a monkey picture that you will actually see as is PFP. So don't worry if you see that. It's just part of the Web3 fun culture that people have it, right? It's their alter egos, their alternate identities. People recognize each other with that. It's just it's the fun part of Web3 that helps people come together and connect in a fun, relaxed way. But that is a real person, right? And Kaiman is sitting right in front of me here, and you can watch the stream on YouTube and Facebook as well later on, so you know what he looks like. But if you see a monkey picture, don't worry, you're at the right account. That is Kaiman's account.
Yeah, still a real person.
Still a real person, yes. And with that, guys, I would love to bid adieu to all of our listeners here. This is Sonia signing off on another episode of the Silicon Dreams on Radio Zindagi 1550 AM. Keep listening to Radio Zindagi, guys, and have a great day.